GPL, private sector trade union bodies meet the president in wake of proposed electricity tariff hike. The president approves international probe into Walter Rodney's assassination. And Roraima State Governor meets the president as infrastructural project deadline looms. These and other stories in this week's edition of The Diary, the Government Information Agency program that provides a recap of the highlights of the country's president for the week June 8 to 14. Now, for the details. The political opposition has spoken out against the proposed 26.7% tariff hike, warning that the implications to the country's future are daunting. But the power company's executive said there is a big misunderstanding and a political agenda at hand. The Guyana Power and Light's option to increase the electricity tariff by 26.7% follows cuts to the company's 2013 budget. But the Partnership for National Unity and the Alliance for Change are claiming that this is not the case. The power company is maintaining, however, that its ability to improve efficiency and service quality hinges on the $5.2 billion budgetary allocations that was rejected in the National Assembly. Chief Executive Officer of the Guyana Power and Light, Bharat Dindyal, who met President Donald Ramotar in the company of the Private Sector Commission and the Federation of Independent Trade Unions of Guyana, FITAG, regarded the utterances of the opposition as a misrepresentation of the real situation.
I think there's a lack of information. I'm disappointed because the President just said that all this information was shared with them. We know that a 26.7% increase, if it happens, will have significant impact on every Guyanese. Unfortunately, if there is no other option, if these loans at concessionary terms coming through the government to GPL, the GPL has to repay. If these loans are not reinstated, we have no option. We can't stop these projects where they are. They have to be completed. And if they have to be completed, unfortunately, the only other option we have is to raise the tariffs to garner the funds to complete them.
The cuts to the company's $5.2 billion budget this year had put on hold a number of projects, like the 26-megawatt plant at Vredenhoop, which requires foundation works and equipment awaiting shipment from Finland, and the substations under the Chinese infrastructure development projects.
We have done 3 substations. There are another 3 to be completed in another month and a half. These are stuck. There's 2 others at Golden Grove and Columbia, where the foundation works are complete and equipment is about to be installed. All the equipment for those substations are here. So we're caught in the middle of these things, and these projects are intended to deal with technical losses.
The power company announced on June 8 that the option to increase tariff is premised on the need to raise revenue so that the company can remain financially viable. The new rates have not yet taken effect, but GPL's board is actively engaged in planning its implementation, having submitted its final return certificate to the Public Utilities Commission. FITAG had shared a similar position on the restoration of the cuts.
It's going to create additional hardship on the workers and our members, and hence we will reject an increase. But at the same time, we wish that some wisdom can prevail and that the opposition leaders will do something to restore the budget.
The Guyana Power and Light stated that it will require at least $90 million of investment within the next 5 years for it to make substantial reductions in technical and commercial losses and continue to bemoan the impact of fuel prices. The Guyana Power and Light is counting on the coming of hydropower to reduce the cost of generation by half and lessen the impact of fuel costs on increased tariffs. The Milo Falls project is one in the making, including another that the Brazilian government will be supporting. Hydropower and other priorities like the Linden Lethem Road and the Deepwater Harbor were discussed when Governor of the state of Roraima, Jose Anchieta Jr., met President Ramotar on June 13. He said that the Roraima state is committed to supporting the projects that were conceptualized under the presidencies of Bharat Jagdeo and Brazil's Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. It was agreed, for example, that hydro, once established, will source cheap energy for Guyana and also supply power to northern Brazil.
Uma ótima relação.
The relations are very harmonic, very good, excellent relations, and the frontier is no longer a barrier for the exchange in cultural, in the economic and commercial areas. No? So the relations Brazil and Guyana have reached a high point in the history.
The two countries had set a June target by which proposals, including timelines for implementation of major infrastructural projects, would be reached. This was during the opening of the first meeting of the Brazil-Guyana Working Group on Infrastructural Projects last February. This month, infrastructural teams from the two countries that have been meeting over the past few months are expected to present reports on the proposals, designs, and other issues relating to the long stretch of road that is critical to the movement of people and goods and services. At the commissioning of the bridge across the Takatu River, the former Brazilian president had assured that the road would be the next major undertaking through the Ghana-Brazil partnership. You are watching The Diary. Thanks for tuning in. More features still ahead. The 2013 national budget grants exemptions from personal income tax to first-time homeowners whose taxable income goes towards paying interest on mortgage of up to $30 million from a commercial bank or building society.
The 2013 budget will bring substantial relief to property owners. Tens of thousands of low and middle income earners with net property value of below $40 million will no longer be subject to property tax. From 2014, the tax-free threshold for property tax on individuals will change from $7.5 million to $40 million. Pensioners are to receive a 25% increase in their pension or $12,500 monthly with effect from May 1. Over 42,500 pensioners are to benefit from this increase. Government will also provide each pensioner with assistance of up to $20,000 per annum to pay GPL for their electricity charges.
Ghana's economy grew by 4.8% in 2012, the seventh consecutive year of positive growth. This expansion was due to the macroeconomic policies put in place by government to protect the local economy and ensure a better life for all Guyanese. Economic growth is projected at 5.3% for 2013. The Alliance for Change, AFC, and the Partnership for National Unity, APNU, cut $5.2 billion in subsidy to the Ghana Power and Light Company. Implications of this cut: higher electricity tariffs for GPL customers, prolonged periods of blackout, hardships for the manufacturing sector, increased costs for goods and services, halting of expansion projects that cater for increased electricity demand, and loss of jobs for Guyanese.
Guyana's revolutionary low-carbon development strategy was lauded by the British High Commissioner to Guyana, Andrew Eyre, who described it as a definitive model of what is possible in a densely forested developing country. The strategy, which seeks to transform the country's economy on a pathway to sustainable development, is also Guyana's answer to the climate change phenomenon. British High Commissioner to Guyana Andrew Eyre, at the birth anniversary of Queen Elizabeth II on the evening of June 12, said he is an admirer of the LCDS.
I applaud Guyana's LCDS as a definitive model of what is possible in a densely forested developing country, and I hope that a legally binding post-Kyoto agreement on greenhouse gas emissions can be reached soon.
In 2009, pioneer of the strategy, former President Barra Jagdeo, and former Norwegian Minister of Environment and International Development Erik Solheim signed a historic Memorandum of Understanding for forest carbon funding of up to $250 million by 2015. Having satisfied requirements under the agreement, $115 million have to date been released from the Ghana Red Investment Fund account. President Ramatar, in his remarks, said Guyana will continue to play an integral role in the Red Plus partnership.
At the international level, Guyana will continue to play an integral role in the Red Plus partnership. This partnership provides for the establishment of a global initiative by which countries can be incentivized for reducing emissions through avoided deforestation, which are elements of Guyana's low-carbon development strategy. We have no doubt that Guyana-Norway REDD+ partnership can be a model that could be adopted by other countries in this pursuit.
Funding from the Guyana Red Investment Fund has already been released and channeled to priority projects like community development initiatives in Amerindian villages. A new chapter in diplomatic relations between the governments of Guyana and Kosovo have been opened with the signing of a joint communique to mark the official establishment of diplomatic relations on June 13. Kosovo's Minister of Foreign Affairs Enver Hoxha, who signed the agreement with Guyana's Minister of Foreign Affairs Caroline Rodriguez-Burkett, paid a courtesy call on the president afterwards.
I informed the president how between both countries we might be able to exchange in some area, from economy, trade to education, culture and health.
With multi-ethnicity, democracy, secularism, and the aspiration to membership into the European Union, Kosovo's main priorities and principles, the foreign minister said Guyana has found an important bilateral and European partner in his country. Guyana was one of 77 countries that supported Kosovo's unilateral declaration of sovereignty and voted in favor when the General Assembly of the United Nations adopted a resolution by which it requested the International Court of Justice to render an option on the declaration. You're watching The Diary, more still ahead.
The 2013 budget will bring substantial relief to property owners. Tens of thousands of low and middle income earners with net property value of below $40 million will no longer be subject to property tax. From 2014, the tax-free threshold for property tax on individuals will change from $7.5 million to $40 million.
Guyana's economy grew by 4.8% in 2012, the seventh consecutive year of positive growth. This expansion was due to the macroeconomic policies put in place by government to protect the local economy and ensure a better life for all Guyanese. Economic growth is projected at 5.3% for 2013.
Pensioners are to receive a 25% increase in their pension, or $12,500 monthly, with effect from May 1. Over 42,500 pensioners are to benefit from this increase. Government will also provide each pensioner with assistance of up to $20,000 per annum to pay GPL for their electricity charges.
The long-awaited International Commission of Inquiry into the assassination of acclaimed historian and Working People's Alliance leader Walter Rodney over 3 decades ago was recently approved by the head of state. The announcement was made on the occasion of the 33rd death anniversary of Walter Rodney. It follows on an inconclusive report that was conducted in the 1980s that sought to find the motive of the assassination and the agents involved. A 2005 preliminary inspired international commission had also failed to address many outstanding issues. In this new commission of inquiry, contributions will be sought by family members of the deceased, former political allies in the People's Progressive Party and Working People's Alliance, and Rodney's colleagues internationally. Dr. Rodney, a political challenger to the then Forbes-Burnham regime, was killed on June 13, 1980, when he detonated an explosive device that was concealed in a walkie-talkie radio that was given to him by a former GDF sergeant who later fled to French Guiana, where he remained in exile until his death several years ago. That's all in this week's edition of The Diary for the period June 8 to 14. The highlights before we go: GPL, private sector trade union bodies meet the head of state in wake of proposed electricity tariff increase. The president approves international probe into Walter Rodney's assassination. And Roraima State Governor meets the president as infrastructural project deadline looms. Do join us again next week when we bring you more. I am your host, Fabian Krause. Thanks for joining us. Do have a safe and pleasant rest of the week.